Africans, good day and welcome to Harmless TV. In today's video, we want to let you understand and to know the situations of Africans living in Europe. Yes, especially Italy. So this one is coming out from the African migrants living in Italy. They have come out on the street to protest and ask the government that please they should assist them for documents, because many of them are working without documents whereby their health insurance are not secure, or even due to the coronavirus issue, many of them are not being supported by the government because they don't have documents and their life are at risk, and they are paying them little money. That is a minor. The money that they are paying them is very low compared to those that have documents and that have a working contract. So first of all, I want us to watch this video and see the situations that Africans are passing through before they get to Europe, and also when they get to Europe, what they are passing through there, so you will understand the situations and everything that make us to bring out this video, because we feel that really everybody have the same breathing, everybody are the same. So why can't the European government assist them for documents, since they understand that without documents, them also the European government will also profit from it, because while they are working, they are going to pay tax. Now without document, their life at risk, because nobody to care for them, even when they had an accident at work, or maybe something occurred that will make them not to go to work. And a lot of them can't even offer, they can't even pay their house rent. They can't pay their house rent, they can't even eat well due to the salaries that they are receiving from working, because they don't have contracts and they don't have documents. So a lot of Italian mafia are just using them. You know, they are profiting from them, whereby they will give them €2.50 or €2 or even €3 per hour for working under the hot sun in the farm. And tell me, my people, how can someone pay house rent with that? If you are in Europe, I believe you will understand. So now, let's watch first of all the situations that Africans are passing through before they get to Europe. Then we continue from there. This happened in Morocco on the 25th of June 2022, where over 2,000 African migrants tried to breach the border to cross over to Spain Melila. According to them, 18 people were killed. Please let's listen. So what happened to this in this video is that 18 migrants died in an attempt to enter Spain Melila. And they say that the deaths occurred during attempt mass crossing into Spanish North African enclave by some 2,000 migrants. This is the way officials put it, that 2,000 migrants are trying to cross, that is mass crossing to Europe from Morocco, and because of that, a lot of them died during the process because the police intervened, beating them with sticks. As you are watching it in this particular video, beating them mercilessly, you can imagine people that are suffering in the bush, in the desert for some days without eating, now receiving this particular beating, this stress under the hot sun. So a lot of them can't survive it. So they passed on. Many of them died. So what they are still letting us to understand is that the Moroccan authorities said that 18 migrants were killed and dozens of migrants and police officers were injured in a stampede of by people trying to cross into the Spanish North African enclave of Melilla. A spokesperson from the Spanish government officials in Melilla said about 2,000 people attempted to enter the North African city on Friday morning, and during a violent 2 hours skirmish, about 130 successfully breached the border between Morocco and the Spanish enclave. So they are letting us to understand that as from these 2,000 people that are trying to cross to Morocco, it was only 130 people that survived it, that crossed to Morocco. Then the rest of them, about 1,800 and something of them, cannot make it. and a lot of them wounded, while some are already dead. And he continues to say that Moroccan Interior Ministry said in a statement that the casualties occur when the refugee and migrants tried to climb an iron border fence separating the two territories. 5 migrants were killed and 76 injured, and 140 Moroccan security officers were injured, the ministry says. So that is what I count on. You cannot tell me that 76 migrants wounded, 5 of them died, and 140 Moroccans, security officers, police wounds. So how does it happen? The migrants have arms, because we can, as we can see in this video, we understand that it was the Moroccan police that are beating them with sticks. So we don't understand, or maybe they made mistake in the number, or they want to just please give us the right number of what happened. So they continue to let us understand that 13 of the injured migrants later died in the hospital, raising the death toll to 18. According to Morocco officials news agency MAP, which cited local authorities, the Moroccan Human Rights Association reported 27 dead, but the figure could immediately be confirmed. The Human Rights in Morocco is reporting 27 people dead, that it was 27 that died. But watching this particular video, my people, you all understand what actually happened. And meanwhile, we want to know the identity of those particular people that died at that particular border. So Spanish officers said 49 civil guards sustained minor injuries. For 4 police vehicles were damaged by rocks thrown by the migrant. So from the Spanish side, they are saying that 49 civil guards, that is the Guardia Civil, 49 Guardia Civil wounded minorly, and the migrants destroyed 4 of their vehicles. Image on Spanish media showed exhausted refugees and migrants laying on the pavement in Melila, some with bloodied hands and torn clothes. Those who succeeded in crossing went to a local migrant center where authorities were evaluating their circumstances. The incident at the border crossing was the first since Morocco and Spain mended diplomatic ties in March. A large group of sub-Saharan Africans broke through the access gates of the Barrio Chino border checkpoint and enter Melilla by jumping over the roof of the checkpoint, the Spanish officers said. So you can see the problem now. Since the Moroccan authorities have signed a deal, they have mended a deal in March with the Spanish authority. So that deal is to close the border, to make sure that nobody crosses the border, even if it's by, silencing them, even if it is by wounding them. Even anything have to warrants, but their own is that they have a deal and they have signed a contract for the Moroccan people to protect their own side, whereby no migrants will enter into the European territory. So now we are going to watch the video on how the Africans living in Europe, in Italy especially, because they made a protest whereby they let people to understand their situations that they are passing in Italy. And I believe that this is the video that me myself, I always post this kind of video because I feel pain to see people suffering. So I think I am what will I put it? How will I put it? So I think I have to say it, and I have to defend people so that at least everybody could live in this world equally. So let's watch this particular video, how the African migrants living in Italy came out to protest, because after suffering in Africa, after suffering trying to cross to Europe, they will still get to Europe, and the European government will not grant them documents, meaning that they cannot even work. They can't even get to hospital because they don't have medical assurance. Many of them can't school, and a lot of them can't even put food on their table, rent any home without document, because without document, nothing is functioning. And those that are trying to survive in life are still working without document, and that document, working without document, is illegal. The government are not going to recognize you, neither with anybody or any organization in the country recognize you because you are not paying tax, you are not working with contract, and those people that are working without a contract, their lives are in danger because there is no medical assurance for them even when they had an accident at work, and also they cannot even rent a home without the same document, and they can't even live freely. They can't work. They are afraid. Their life is full of fears because anything can happen at any given time. So please, let's listen to the way the African migrants and so many other migrants in Italy came out to voice out and to ask the government, please, to assist them for documents so that the country can move forward.
Non è normale, non è giusto, siamo tutti uguali, siamo tutti esseri umani. Non ci entra sei bianco, nero, giallo, non ci serve. Sei cristiano, musulmano, buddista, non è importante. È importante, siamo tutti esseri umani, dobbiamo essere tutti uguali. Basta! 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 Basta!
Noi siamo qua, non è problema, siamo qua per documenti, noi serve documenti. 5 anni io mancato mia madre, io voglio andare a Africa, fare vacanza, non lo so, visitare mia madre. Per piacere, government d'Italia, Napoli, government d'Italia aiuta noi serve documenti, non è come 2 anni, 5 anni noi serve, hai capito? Siamo qua, non è per problema, siamo qua per documenti, 5 anni. Dai, Forza Italia, dai, Forza Italia!
Professore di soggiorno! Subito, subito! Professore di soggiorno! Subito, subito! Professore di soggiorno! Subito, subito!
Ad oggi ancora tantissime persone muoiono in mare, muoiono nel deserto, muoiono nei campi dove sono costretti a lavorare per 2 euro, 2,50 € l'ora. Oggi noi diremo basta a tutto ciò e soprattutto, sia chiaro, noi dalla piazza non ci muoviamo fin quando non abbiamo una risposta, e la risposta deve essere quello che diciamo noi, cioè permesso di soggiorno per tutte e per tutti i fratelli e le sorelle.
Io domando personalmente con tutti gli africani, sono qua aiutare il popolo africano. Guardate questo, è una vergogna, una vergogna.
Chiediamo solo la nostra dignità, di essere trattati come esseri umani, avere un permesso di soggiorno,
perché è questione di dove vogliamo che vada il mondo, verso un'uguaglianza di razze ma anche di parità di diritti, e quindi siamo sempre in piazza.
Noi sappiamo cosa significa emigrare, vediamo con i nostri occhi in mare, nel mare Mediterraneo da 3 anni, la fatica, la sofferenza, il disagio, lo sfruttamento che portano centinaia di migliaia di persone a lasciare la propria casa e i propri affetti per cercare una vita più dignitosa. Riteniamo fondamentale che sui territori, negli stati della comunità europea, si stabiliscano finalmente delle politiche di accoglienza e di garanzia dei flussi migratori che siano degne e che considerano i cittadini migranti come persone e non semplicemente come un problema sociale o di ordine pubblico. Il blocco della sanatoria dei permessi di soggiorno connessi alla sanatoria del 2020 ancora oggi, nel giugno del 2022, è totalmente inaccettabile. Sono intere vite di persone che sono rimaste al palo, bloccate, in attesa non si sa neanche bene di cosa. Oggi, 17 giugno, siamo in piazza per la giornata internazionale del rifugiato, perché ancora una volta siamo qui per rivendicare diritti sociali, diritti umani e stop alla guerra e stop al razzismo. Le nostre rivendicazioni sono molto semplici, sono un permesso di soggiorno chiamato protezione speciale per tutte le persone che sono presenti sul territorio, che lavorano in questo paese, che portano avanti questo paese e che magari sono anche vittime dello sfruttamento lavorativo.
I can't bear it, my dear. It's not my fault, you know. It's so painful to see your fellow humans suffering, especially in a foreign land, you know. It's so painful. So let's watch this other video to hear it from the horse's mouth This man, may God continue to bless him. I believe he's an Italian man, but there are some some associations that always speak for the migrant people. I also know a lot of them. They are good-hearted people, good-minded people, and we pray and we ask the Italian government that please they should hear their voice, because they are speaking the voice of the African people. This is the reality of what we are bearing and who we really are and what we are passing through in Europe. Please let's listen and watch this particular video. Hear everything the man has to say. This is what is really going on. Don't get it twisted. It is the reality. So please let's watch.
On June 17 and 18, migrant rights groups and progressive organizations held mobilizations in the cities of Naples and Caserta in Italy. They demanded peace, social justice, and the regularization of undocumented people. Migrants play a key role in the Italian economy, especially in agriculture. However, they continue to face difficult living conditions and poverty and precariousness, in addition to institutional racism. What is the role played by migrants in the Italian economy, and what kind of conditions do they endure? Maurizio Coppola of Potere al Popolo, one of the organizations supporting the mobilization, talks about these issues.
Labor market is dominated by migrant labor. Around 10% of the total workforce is foreign workers. So like 2.3 million people are foreigners working in the Italian economy. And the important thing is like to see that there is not only the agricultural industry that is dominated by migrant labor, but also other sectors. And first of all, for example, logistics. The logistics in the northern part of Italy, it's very important. It's a very important sector that in the last 20 years increased a lot, and in which precarious working conditions are dominant. And there you find a lot of people from Bangladesh, Pakistan, but also from Morocco and Egypt working in these sectors. It's like in Emilia-Romagna, it's a region where, and Lombardia, two regions where the logistics is concentrated. And we had a very important wave of struggle in 2010, 11, 12, above all by the irregular workers without residence permit, which struggled for better salaries, for better working conditions, and linked to this improvement of the working conditions, of course, also to receive papers, to be regularized, because the two things come together. If you are an irregular worker, the possibility to put pressure on you and to pay lower salaries, it's higher. So there was like a very important wave of struggle during the like 10 years ago. But during the pandemic we had like migrant workers of the logistics saying we are living in like collective shelters where nothing is done, no measures to protect the people from COVID, and in the same time, if we get COVID, we cannot go to work because it is forbidden to work. So this is a contradiction we cannot accept, that like the costs of COVID is put on the shoulder of the migrant workers. So there was also like struggles for better protections in the collective shelters by these workers in the logistics. But of course we have, as you said, the agricultural industry. It's above all in southern Italy where people from the African continent are working, and there the huge question is above all the working hours, the salaries also, because we have there like a system that puts pressure on migrant workers of the African continent, and they receive like 2 euros, 3 euros maximum per hour. And then also the question of the housing, because there are like ghettos around these huge fields in the southern part of Italy, in which the migrant workers are living in very precarious conditions, without water, without electricity. And there are also a lot of people also dying there in these ghettos because fires breaking out and so on. And so also there in the last 10 years, we had huge and important mobilizations by the migrant workers. And the third sector I wanted to mention is the care sector. Above all, women from Eastern Europe are working there. And they, during the pandemic, they really felt the pressure and this precarious condition without security and without protection, because they were fired because the elder people, they feared to catch COVID. And so like this migrant women workers in the care sector are living inside of the houses of these people. They said, we do not want to have foreigners in our house, so we fire you. And this is something that, yeah, of course, when you speak about the economy in 2021-22, as I said, like 10% of the total workforce in Italy is connected to the migrant workers. But in 2021-22, 35% of the people losing their job because of the pandemic, they were migrant workers. So like the impact of the crisis is much bigger and stronger on migrant workers.
In 2020, the Italian government introduced a regularization program, which was supposed to address many of these issues faced by migrants. Has this policy worked?
Yeah, it was incredible because the day it was announced, the agriculture minister came to the TV and started to cry and to say how problematic the situation of migrant workers is in Italy. And so the government presented like a regularization program that then at the end only focused, and this is one of the main problem, only focused migrant workers in two sectors. That means in the agricultural sector and in the care sector. The two sectors most impacted by the crisis, in the sense that the workers there had most problems and difficulties to have a safe situation, to have measures to protect themselves from COVID. So this is one of the huge problems of the regularization program. Then we have a second huge problem, that is that the migrant worker had to pay 500 euro to start the procedure of regularization. So of course it is a way also to put like a handicap to the migrant workers to have a real regularization. And then the third discriminatory moment of this regularization program is that the employer of the migrant worker had to denounce himself as an employer of irregular work, but of course prevented a lot of them to regularize their workers. So they said, no, why should I do it if till now I could hire them without problem if they are irregular without a residence permit, and so on and so on. So it is a very discriminatory regularization program, and this discriminatory moment, we see it also in the numbers. The Ministry of Interior received around 250 applications for regularization in the first months. 2 years later, today, it's 2 years later, we have more than 50% of these applications that have not been elaborated because of different forms of institutional racism and malfunctioning. So there is like an impossible, they demand impossible things to the migrant irregular workers, papers they can never receive because there is no embassy or no consulate in Italy of their origin countries. The offices are just closed, so you cannot go there as a migrant and make your formalize your procedure of regularization. So a huge amount of problems, racist problems, but also like malfunctioning of the institutions show today that this regularization program is not working, and the people are still waiting for their responses, and they are still working also in very precarious conditions today.
The organizers of the mobilization have presented certain concrete demands to the Italian government. What are these proposals?
I think we can summarize the demands on two levels. The first level is a very concrete level of like working in life conditions of the migrant workers. The message is very clear. It is impossible to respond to the huge amount of contradictions migrant workers are living with emergency measures. So we cannot just say in August 22, we need an emergency measure to regularize migrant workers. We need a structural intervention by the government. And it is exactly what the organizations are demanding. Collective regularization of migrant workers with no resident permit, with no documents. It is the only way to be sure that these people can continue working, that these people who also paid for a long time, because irregular work is also like a gray zone. They continue paying like social insurance, but they are not regular in the territory, so they do not have the right also to have access to the social insurance they pay for. So this is also a way to protect them, to give them security, to allow them also in the longer term to stabilize their lives in Italy. But of course, there is also a second element of the demonstration, a very political one, a very strong political one, because there is the World Refugees Day in June 20. And of course, this World Refugee Day has a special significance this year. The escalation of the war in Ukraine has introduced the possibility of a new world war, and the militarization of the conflict is producing even more deaths and refugees. Since the beginning of the war, officially there are like 6.6 million refugees from Ukraine and the countries around. And but since the beginning of the conflict, also like the Western countries are militarizing, weaponizing the conflict, and treating also refugees differently among their origin, their country of origin. So like people still fleeing from Afghanistan, from Ethiopia, from Syria are like they are receiving closed doors. And the refugees of Ukraine, they have like the open doors, as it should be. We are not saying that the refugees from Ukraine should not come to Europe, to the Western countries of Europe, Italy, and so on. But we have to treat all refugees in the same way. So there is really a very strong also character of peace, of social justice, and against inequalities in these demonstrations today and tomorrow. And today, as we said, in Naples, 5,000 people, 5,000 migrants took to the streets, and this is a huge number for Naples. This is a huge number of people really saying, no, we have to react, we cannot accept anymore what is going on. Tomorrow the demonstration will be in Caserta. Caserta is in the north of Campania, the region of Naples, and a lot of migrant workers are working there in the fields, in the agricultural sector. So it is very important also to support the demonstration tomorrow. And the first step was a success. Now there are like meetings also with the Ministry of the Interior, with the regional ministries to improve the situation of migrant workers in Italy.